In a world that never seems to stop moving, where everything feels like it's speeding up, there's another way for us to live. A way that invites calm, presence, and purpose. It's called the slow life. And while the name might sound simple, the effect it can have is transformative, especially for those of us who've experienced decades of life and change. We don't have to keep up with the rush anymore. The truth is, we've reached a point where slowing down feels right. It feels necessary. And it's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what truly matters, at a pace that allows us to appreciate life in a deeper way. As we get older, we begin to see things from a different perspective. In our younger years, the world often told us to chase more achievements, more possessions, more recognition. We were taught that the things we owned were symbols of our success. But with age comes clarity, and we start to understand that real fulfillment doesn't come from what we accumulate. It comes from how we live, how we connect, and how we feel on the inside. Slowing down allows us to break free from that cycle of always wanting more and focus on what truly brings us joy. Slowing down is not about stopping, and it's definitely not about giving up. It's about taking the time to fully experience life. It's about being intentional with how we spend our days and how we nurture our bodies and minds. Our bodies, especially as we age, need time to recover, to rest, and to find balance. When we allow ourselves to slow down, our hearts don't have to work as hard. Instead of pushing ourselves to the limit, we can let our bodies find their natural rhythm, conserving our energy for the things that really matter. A slower pace can mean better health, more vitality, and a stronger sense of well-being. It's not just our bodies that benefit from living slower. Our minds, too, need that space. When we're constantly moving, it's easy to get caught up in the rush, to feel overwhelmed, or even disconnected from the present moment. But when we take a step back, when we allow ourselves to breathe and just be, we can start to appreciate the little things in life. A quiet afternoon, a walk in the park, or a peaceful moment with a cup of tea. These are the moments that remind us of the beauty around us. They're small, but they're full of meaning, and they help us stay grounded in a world that often feels chaotic. Living slower also changes the way we connect with others. Relationships, like anything worth having, take time and attention to grow. When we're not rushing from one task to the next, we have the opportunity to be more present with the people who matter to us. We can have richer conversations, share deeper experiences, and really listen to one another. This isn't about cramming more into our schedules. It's about being truly present in the moments we share with others, which in turn strengthens those bonds. As we age, the concept of slowing down may feel like something we're supposed to do. But rather than seeing it as something we have to accept, what if we embraced it as a gift? This is our chance to live with intention, to focus on what brings us peace and fulfillment. We've spent years running the race, and now we can step back, breathe, and enjoy a different kind of success. One that's not defined by external achievements, but by the richness of our experiences. The world might still be obsessed with speed and productivity, but we don't have to be. We've earned the right to live life on our terms, to choose a pace that aligns with our needs and values. Slowing down doesn't mean falling behind. It means taking control of how we want to live, finding joy in simplicity, and letting go of the pressure to keep up with others. Choosing the slow life is about freedom. It's about letting go of the things that drain us and focusing on what nourishes us. We've spent so much of our lives working hard, taking care of others, and striving to meet expectations. Now is the time to care for ourselves, to nurture our own well-being, and to create space for the things that bring us peace. Slowing down allows us to experience life fully, without the constant pull of distractions and demands. There's a quiet power in embracing a slower way of living. It's not just about doing less. It's about choosing what's meaningful. It's about prioritizing quality over quantity, depth over speed, and presence over perfection. For those of us who have lived through many stages of life, the slow life offers a chance to savor each moment, to find beauty in the everyday, and to live with a sense of peace that comes from knowing we're exactly where we need to be. Welcome the slow life with open arms. Let's choose to live in a way that feels true to who we are now, a way that honors all we've been through and all we've learned. In doing so, we create a life that is richer, more fulfilling, and deeply rewarding. And we discover that sometimes slowing down is the fastest way to find the joy we've been seeking all along. Once in a charming village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a man named Luke. Luke was in his late 60s and had spent most of his life caught up in the relentless hustle of the city. He had worked tirelessly in the finance sector, spending countless hours at his desk and sacrificing precious moments with family and friends for the sake of his career. As he approached retirement, Luke found himself feeling a profound sense of emptiness. He had achieved professional success, but the joy that should have accompanied it seemed elusive. After years of living in the fast lane, Luke decided it was time for a change. He sold his apartment in the city and moved to his late grandmother's quaint cottage in the countryside. The peaceful surroundings were a stark contrast to the chaotic life he had left behind. Initially, Luke struggled to adjust to this slower pace. The silence felt foreign, and he often found himself checking the time, waiting for the next meeting or deadline that had once defined his days. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Luke decided to take a walk through the village. The fresh air filled his lungs, and the sounds of chirping crickets and rustling leaves began to soothe his restless mind. He wandered into a local cafe and met Martha, a kind-hearted woman in her 70s who owned the place. They struck up a conversation, and Martha shared stories of her life, her family, and her love for baking. Luke found himself captivated by her tales and the warmth in her voice. Inspired by Martha's passion, Luke began visiting the cafe regularly. He helped her with simple tasks like washing dishes and sweeping the floor, and in return, she shared her recipes with him. He had never considered himself much of a cook, but something about Martha's enthusiasm sparked a desire within him. He soon found himself experimenting in the kitchen, trying to recreate her delicious pastries and hearty soups. One Saturday morning, Martha invited Luke to join her for a community farmers market. At first, he hesitated, thinking of all the tasks he could be doing at home. But he decided to embrace this new adventure and joined her. The market was bustling with activity. Local farmers displayed their fresh produce, artisans showcased handmade crafts, and laughter filled the air. Luke felt a sense of joy he hadn't experienced in years. He met local farmers, chatted with neighbors, and marveled at the vibrant community spirit. Over the next few months, Luke made the farmers market a regular part of his routine. He began volunteering to help set up and take down the stalls, and he got to know the vendors and their stories. Each visit brought him closer to the heart of the village. He learned to appreciate the beauty of fresh, local ingredients and the hard work that went into producing them. He even started growing his own vegetables in a small garden behind the cottage, relishing the satisfaction of nurturing something from seed to harvest. As he immersed himself in this slower lifestyle, Luke also discovered a newfound passion for writing. Inspired by the stories he heard at the market and the simple pleasures of life in the countryside, he began keeping a journal. He documented his experiences, the people he met, and the lessons he learned along the way. Writing became a form of therapy for him, a way to process his thoughts and feelings. He found joy in crafting stories that celebrated the beauty of everyday life. One day, while attending a village gathering, Luke shared some of his writings with a small group of friends he had made. Their encouragement ignited a spark within him, and he decided to take a leap of faith. He would compile his stories and submit them to a local magazine. With Martha's support, he polished his pieces and sent them off. To his surprise, the magazine published several of his stories, and soon he was receiving letters from readers who resonated with his experiences. As his writing gained traction, Luke felt a renewed sense of purpose. He began hosting storytelling nights at the cafe, where he would share his tales with the community. The events became popular, drawing people from all walks of life. They would gather, laugh, and connect over the shared joy of stories. Luke realized that he was no longer just an observer of life. He was an active participant, creating meaningful connections through his words. One evening, as he sat on his porch watching the sunset, Luke reflected on how much his life had changed. The hustle and bustle of the city felt like a distant memory. He had traded deadlines for delightful moments, stress for serenity, and isolation for community. The simple act of slowing down had opened his heart and mind to new experiences, friendships, and passions he had never imagined. Luke learned that living slowly didn't mean doing less. It meant embracing each moment fully, cherishing the little things that often go unnoticed. He had cultivated a deep appreciation for the beauty of nature, the warmth of community, and the power of storytelling. His heart felt lighter, and a sense of fulfillment enveloped him like a warm blanket. In the years that followed, Luke continued to thrive in his new life. He became a beloved figure in the village, known for his kind spirit and willingness to lend a hand. His garden flourished, his writing blossomed, and his relationships deepened. He discovered that the richness of life comes not from the frenetic pace we set, but from the moments we pause to savor. As Luke sat on his porch, surrounded by friends sharing stories and laughter, he knew he had found what he had been searching for all along. It was in the simplicity of life, the connections he forged, and the joy of living in the present moment that he had discovered true happiness. And in that peaceful little village, Luke had finally learned the art of living slowly, a lesson that would stay with him for the rest of his days. Choosing a slower pace becomes a way of reclaiming control over our lives. When everything around us is urging us to hurry, it's a powerful decision to slow down, take a breath, and appreciate the moments in front of us. Let's remind ourselves that life is meant to be enjoyed, not rushed through. In doing so, we make space for peace, for health, and for meaningful connections. These are the treasures we can hold on to. And quite simply, we deserve it. Imagine clearing out not just physical clutter, but emotional and mental clutter as well. A few years back, a decision was made to downsize, moving from a large home into a smaller, more modest space. The move was to a narrowboat, a home that leaves no room for excess. In that transition, there were tough choices about what to keep and what to let go of. At first, it seemed like an impossible task, but something remarkable happened. As each item was released, a sense of lightness grew, not just physically, but emotionally. Even if we aren't planning to downsize or move, we can still experience this lightness by clearing the unnecessary clutter in our lives. Simplifying our surroundings has an incredible way of simplifying our minds, too. Let's talk about the society we live in, a place that constantly encourages us to consume. While there is nothing wrong with engaging in capitalism cautiously, the challenge arises when we lose balance. As we get older, we start to see clearly that life isn't about the latest gadget or the trendiest clothes. It's about the experiences we have, the relationships we build, and the moments we take to reflect. Choosing a simpler, slower life may go against what's popular, but there's beauty in that choice. When we no longer feel the constant need for possessions, we begin to see life in a way that brings true joy. With age, we come to realize that joy is often found in the simplest things. A warm cup of tea, a gentle conversation with a friend, or the quiet moment of watching birds outside. These seemingly small moments are the ones that fill our hearts. They become the treasures we hold most dear. In a slower life, we are not immune to the pull of consumerism, but as we continue to choose simplicity, the noise of the world begins to fade. The more we practice this lifestyle, the easier it becomes to resist the urge to buy and consume endlessly. As we simplify our lives, we begin to notice the spaces that open up around us, spaces that were once filled with clutter or stress. We then have the opportunity to fill these spaces with what truly matters. Maybe it's a new hobby, or maybe it's spending more time with loved ones. The things we fill our lives with become more intentional, more meaningful. Of course, living differently isn't always easy. There are moments when we may feel isolated, as though others don't understand our choice. But we should hold on to this truth: the discomfort is temporary, and the rewards far outweigh the initial challenges. Living slower doesn't mean doing less. It means doing what matters most. When we strip away the excess, we begin to realize what's really important. We stop wasting energy on things that don't serve us, and we start putting our efforts into what brings joy, peace, and purpose. This shift in priorities gives us the freedom to live on our terms, without the pressure of keeping up with a fast-moving world. The beauty of a slower life is that it gives us time to nurture our health. Whether it's through mindful movement, a nourishing meal, or simply taking the time to rest, we find ways to care for our bodies and minds. We listen more closely to what we need, rather than pushing ourselves beyond our limits. In this way, slowing down becomes a form of self-love. It's a gift we give to ourselves, knowing that we are worth the care and attention. When we choose to slow down, we also open ourselves up to deeper connections with the people around us. We have more time for conversations, for laughter, for the quiet moments that strengthen our relationships. In a fast-paced world, relationships often take a back seat. But when we slow down, we make room for the ones we love. And in those moments of connection, we find that life feels fuller and richer. We are also reminded that the slower we move, the more we can appreciate the natural world around us. The sound of the wind in the trees, the way the sun feels on our skin, these moments can be grounding. They pull us back into the present, reminding us that life is happening now, and it's worth savoring. Nature has its own rhythm, and when we align with it, we find a deep sense of peace. Let's make space for the things that bring us joy, for the people we love, and for the moments that make life truly meaningful. Let's reclaim our time, our energy, and our peace. Because in the end, this life is ours to live. And when we live it with intention and care, we find that every moment feels a little more precious. We deserve a life that is rich, not in things, but in experiences and connection. We all can agree that one of the most remarkable benefits of adopting a slower pace of life is the financial freedom it offers. When we pause and reflect, we realize how often we've succumbed to the relentless cycle of acquiring things we don't truly need. This endless pursuit of material possessions can drain our resources and distract us from what really matters. By stepping back, we allow ourselves the opportunity to save money for experiences and relationships that genuinely enrich our lives. It's not about longing for what we missed out on or following fleeting trends. Instead, it's the cherished memories we create with loved ones and the tranquility that stems from aligning our lives with our core values that we hold dear. Everywhere we turn, there are demands from work, technology, and societal expectations pushing us to keep up. Yet, the choice to embrace a more intentional, deliberate way of living can yield incredible peace and satisfaction. Especially as we grow older, allowing ourselves to adopt a more leisurely pace opens the door to deeper reflection, stronger connections, and a newfound appreciation for the little moments that make life so beautiful. One of the most transformative shifts we can make is to prioritize presence over productivity. Society often leads us to believe that being busy equates to success. However, this relentless hustle can leave us feeling drained and overwhelmed. What if we made it our mission to carve out time each day to simply exist? Imagine savoring that morning cup of tea without the distractions of a busy day, or taking a moment to breathe in the fresh air while listening to the rustling leaves. Engaging in activities like gardening or knitting can offer a wonderful escape, allowing us to be fully immersed in the moment. It's about letting go of the pressure to always be doing something and embracing the beauty of just being. For those of us in the later chapters of our lives, this ability to reflect becomes a precious gift. Slowing down allows us to look back on our journeys with gratitude and understanding. We shift our focus away from what we haven't accomplished or what we may feel is missing. Instead, we celebrate the relationships we've built, the laughter shared, and the simple joys that have graced our days. This perspective reveals the true essence of wealth. Not in possessions, but in experiences and connections that enrich our lives. Another powerful aspect of embracing a slower lifestyle is our relationship with technology. We are living in an age where information bombards us from every angle. Our smartphones, social media, and constant news updates. But as we grow older, we come to recognize that life can be incredibly fulfilling without the constant hum of digital distractions. Setting boundaries with technology can be a transformative step. Consider designating certain times of the day as tech-free moments. Times when we can immerse ourselves in hobbies, enjoy a good book, or take leisurely strolls outdoors. These intentional breaks not only help us reconnect with ourselves, but also foster more meaningful interactions with those we love. Disconnecting from the digital world allows us to engage with our surroundings in a more authentic way. When we silence the constant notifications and demands of our devices, we create space for deeper connections. We listen more attentively to our loved ones, engage more fully in conversations, and genuinely appreciate the company of those around us. This shift is something we can model for younger generations, teaching them that sometimes the most significant moments happen when we look up from our screens and engage with the world around us. Slowing down also opens the door to a more mindful existence. By consciously choosing not to rush through each day, we become more aware of the little details that often slip by unnoticed. The warmth of the sun on our skin, the fragrant aroma of our favorite meal, the sound of laughter filling a room, these are the simple pleasures that bring us joy. Living at a slower pace allows us to savor these moments, filling our hearts with appreciation for the everyday beauty that surrounds us. We must also release the ingrained notion that our worth is tied to how much we accomplish. The constant hustle often leads to a sense of inadequacy or burnout. But what if we shifted our focus from doing to being? By giving ourselves permission to simply sit, breathe, and reflect, we open ourselves up to a profound sense of peace. We let go of the need to constantly prove ourselves and, in return, invite a deeper contentment into our lives. As we grow older, a beautiful realization dawns upon us. Life is not a race. There's no finish line to sprint towards and no prize for being the busiest. The true reward lies in the journey itself, the slow, mindful journey that enables us to truly savor each moment. Living a slower life doesn't mean we do less. Rather, it means we engage more fully, thoughtfully, and in harmony with the rhythm of our lives. It encourages us to show those around us, especially the younger generation, that true success is not measured by our material possessions or our speed. Instead, it's about how deeply we love, how mindfully we live, and how much we appreciate the abundance we already possess. Let's strive to leave a lasting legacy, a testament to the beauty of a life lived with intention, presence, and gratitude. In doing so, we remind ourselves and others that the best things in life are often found in the simplest of moments. As we grow older, there's a shift that happens, a change in our energy, in our priorities, in what truly matters. We may feel a subtle or not so subtle pressure from the world around us to maintain the fast-paced lifestyle that we perhaps once embraced in younger years. But we don't have to follow that rhythm anymore. We can embrace a pace that suits us, not one that society expects of us. It's about honoring where we are now and finding what feels good to us. With this in mind, it's important to remember that slowing down is not a sign of weakness or giving up. Rather, it's a powerful choice that allows us to focus on the things that truly bring us joy and fulfillment. The world tells us to pack our schedules with commitments, as if being busy somehow makes us more valuable. But we know better. We know that true fulfillment comes from doing things that align with our values and passions, not from meeting external expectations. By giving ourselves permission to slow down, we make room for moments of rest, reflection, and deeper connection. Now, think about your own life. Are there activities you engage in simply out of habit or obligation? Perhaps it's time to reassess whether these things are truly serving your well-being. There's no harm in letting go of tasks or routines that no longer bring you happiness or meaning. Instead, focus on activities that make you feel alive, that nourish your spirit, and that bring you closer to the people and experiences that matter most. We can also find great benefit in simplifying our lives. The world around us is often chaotic, full of noise, clutter, and distractions. This creates mental and physical clutter that can overwhelm us. Taking the time to declutter, whether it's our home or our minds, brings a sense of peace and clarity. Let's consider what we truly need and what we can let go of. It doesn't mean living without comfort. It means creating an environment that reflects calm and simplicity, one that supports our well-being. In addition to decluttering our surroundings, we can simplify our mental space by focusing on gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to shift our perspective from a place of lack to a place of abundance. When we focus on what we already have, rather than what we don't, it's easier to feel content. This practice helps us step away from the urge to chase after more, whether it's material things or experiences, and instead find peace in the present moment. Let's not forget the importance of patience and self-compassion as we transition into a slower, more intentional life. We've spent years, maybe decades, being conditioned to live at a certain speed, so it takes time to adjust. It's okay to feel a little discomfort at first. It's okay to take small steps. What's most important is that we are kind to ourselves in the process. There's no rush. Life is not a race, and we don't need to meet anyone else's standards. We should celebrate our progress, no matter how small it may seem. Whether it's taking a few extra minutes to enjoy our morning coffee or choosing to say no to a commitment that doesn't feel right, each step we take toward living more slowly is a victory. Over time, these small changes will add up, and we'll find that we're living in a way that feels more authentic to who we are now. It's also helpful to remind ourselves that this slower way of living opens up space for more joy and peace. When we're not rushing from one thing to the next, we have the time and energy to engage more deeply with the people we care about. We notice the little things, the beauty in a conversation, the warmth of the sun, the taste of a favorite meal. These moments of connection are what truly enrich our lives. Ultimately, living at our own pace, embracing simplicity, and practicing patience doesn't just nurture our physical well-being. It nourishes our soul. We create a life that feels meaningful and aligned with who we are, not what the world expects of us. Let's give ourselves permission to live in a way that brings us peace, contentment, and joy, because we deserve it.